very nearly about can I not get the title of this channel right? Very nearly about sailing April 2024. I think I've got most of that right. Star date, whatever that happens to be. I did loads of video for this, but I'm not going to show it all because you can see better videos of people doing things. This is me finishing off the jigs for the table saw and making, not quite finished, this is more or less finished, making some things with it as kind of still part of my practice for before I do the both the HDPE and the galley. So I've made a pedal board. I'll show you that a little bit more later. Actually, I haven't finished pedal board. There's a lot more that needs to be done to that. And the other thing is, I was asked to make a small medicine box, and I wanted to do splines and things. Well, it's two things I wanted to do. I wanted to put these sort of splines in, so I made a jig to do the splines, and I also wanted to do one of these panel door things, where it's got the slope. This is actually fully floating, this bit in the middle, and then a couple of shelves inside. Well, a shelf inside. But I've also done it so you can slot in another shelf if you wanted to, and I've done a nice little recess around here, and it's got those things which mean that there's a sort of a groove all the way around the outside, and it all works remarkably. I didn't have to do any fitting for the door just fitted once I measured it and stuff. Got some feet on the bottom, and for me that is incredibly accurate and good. So the jigs are the Mark 1 version. I will do better ones. I need to get one of those flat saw things, but look at that, that's come out quite well. And this is, as I say, this is all using the new jigs, which are the crosscut jig, the spline jig, and the I don't know what you call it, the upright jig, which I used to do these. I also, this one I did with the sort of Mark 1 version. Then I figured out how to improve it because there's a few saw marks and things around here. But yeah, look, I'm a complete idiot when it comes to woodwork, and if I can do something like that, which I'm very pleased with, I can. By the way, I know you'll ask, but what I used for the finish, I always use, I'm not sponsored by these people, I always use Gilboys. I used the Gilboys wax, and this is the rose wax for my piano. I've got a 150-year-old piano that I'm doing up. It's fantastic, it's all natural ingredients, comes from the bees at Buckfast Abbey, just around the corner from where I used to work. And this is, I suppose it's a bit like Rubio if you're in the States, but you can get this in the States, and it's great. I only used this for the pedal board. I need to get some of the clear wax for the medicine cabinet, which I shall do at some point. Not cheap, but really worth it. That wasn't an advert, I just like this stuff, and everybody asks, and some people cover up the labels and pretend they're, I'm not selling it, I'm not going to put any affiliate links, and you'll have to go and find their website yourself. Tough. There you go. So if you're not a guitarist, you might not know what a pedal board is. This is my acoustic pedal board. I think I showed last week the pedals that I use and the fact that the cables are everywhere. The idea is to get the cables inside of this thing. So anyway, in this video what we're going to do is I'm going to do a tour of my workshop, because it's now all tidied up. I've been promising this for months and never done it. And I'm just going to show a few clips of me actually cutting these bits and pieces. And that's it for this month, and I shall see you next month. So let's go on with it. Let's have a look at the tour of the workshop. An awful lot of this was done. My daughter Lucy came over for chocolate and did a lot of tidying up, which really, really helped. And I've got completely workable space there, and I can do all the projects I want to in it now. Right, so I did say ages ago that I'd do a sort of a workshop tour, and I will insert some footage here to show just how awful this used to be. So the thing is, I never really treated it as a sort of a working space, but what I've tried to do is, I'm standing roughly in the middle of the container now. If I turn around, all of this stuff under the tarpaulin, that can all go back into the boat as soon as a few projects have been sorted out. I've put some shelving in here. This shelving, which is next to the door, that's more or less sort of electrical components, I've been through and sorted out literally every single screw that I could find, sort of cleaning stuff, drills and so on. I think there's an electric box with soldering irons and things. I've got some car stuff. The bike tucks in nicely there. I was always jabbing myself on the handlebars when I was walking past, and Lucy pointed out that the handlebars actually fold down. That's why it's a folding bike. Duh. There's more boat cleaning stuff in there. Lucy doesn't know this yet, but Serenity needs a really good wash. The rest of this stuff, it's kind of project based. So the holding tank things, and you can see there's another through hole there. That goes in there. That's also for the holding tank. That's the thing to do the soldering. I've got sort of sandpaper a few projects. This gear here is pretty much the soda blast. So I've done it in projects. Down there there's the anchor stuff. Up here is sort of miscellaneous bits and pieces. I need to re-sort out the bit of the V-berth. There's sort of galley stuff up there. So it's really sorted out in order. Things like paintbrushes here. Lucy did some tidying up the other day and sorted out a clear shelf. Because I've got another project with a small motorcycle that I'm just going to do. I like mechanical stuff, so I'm going to do that. This is kind of a working area that I can bring things out and put here. I've got epoxy stuff down here. I've got sort of some handheld tools that I use, electric tools I don't use very much. This has got to be improved. I've got saws and planes and things here. I'm going to bring that nearer the workbench. I've got some personal protection equipment, and I've got some stuff for the table saw, miscellaneous stuff up here, including sort of jam jars and things. Sorry, jelly jars, whatever you call them in America. That's for putting paint and varnish things. Talking of varnish, here's where I keep a lot of wood, the doors and things that are going back in the boat fairly soon. Some of them need varnishing. Lucy's done an awful lot of it. Some stuff has gone back in. So that's just stacking up wood and bits and pieces. I've got some more wood here. This is just an old pallet that was cut into pieces, and I want to make some shelving out of it. I never throw wood away. Never, ever, ever, ever. But I have done recently. So here are bits that may or may not be useful. Just some plastic things, oil and stuff. What else have we got down here? Larger sheets. So I've got a huge grate. I don't know if you can see that. There's that sheet of HDPE goes all the way to there. So I've got tons of HDPE right the way up to there for when I start to do the welding. I'm not going to do that until I'm totally comfortable with all the jigs and stuff. And I've got some of the Formica left, which is going to be used when I do the router table and make a fence, because it's really nice and slippy and slidey. And as you know, I've got that on the top of the worktop. So that's that end. That's the sort of storage end. And as I say, once I've got a few things sorted out, everything under this green tarpaulin, that's where the sails are. That's where the self-steering gear is. That's where you can see the hoop for the canopy. There will be even more space there. This then is highly configurable. I've got a nice space in the middle, and the rule is nothing sticks out more than 2 feet. So these are temporary, but I can use those. Currently I've got the bandsaw on there. So if I'm doing work, I can kind of change this around. I've got the trestles there, which I can bring out. So when I do the varnishing there, I can turn this whole area into a big varnishing area, which I really couldn't do before. It was so awful to use. Very happy with the workbench. I need to put a drawer there. I've got this sort of tatty thing where I put tools up there. It's not really working properly. Vice is absolutely fantastic. I've got various worktops. This is where I'm keeping the jigs, so you can see the jig for putting in the splines. Cross-cut jig, that's the sanding thing, and then there's my upright jig. I've got a sled thing for the circular saw. I've got my to-do list, which the last time I updated this was the 9th of October. I don't tend to update that. Places to put PPE, etc. this is going to improve. I've actually got a French cleat system, which you might be able to see in there, so I can clip and unclip these. I want to put more French cleat things around so I can have more of my stuff, including things like the saws on there. And at the moment, again, loads of wood. I've got plenty of wood for lots of different projects that I'm doing, including sheets of plywood and so on. Dust extraction, not quite sorted it out brilliantly, but this works absolutely perfectly. This is just an old workshop vac, cheap, from Amazon Cyclone, and an airtight bucket, and it works brilliantly. Table saw, again, it all stores away to within sort of 2 feet. Oh, and I've put wheels on the on this, so I can roll it around. It works. It really does separate the stuff out, which it should do, and it's just science, isn't it? Table saw, very happy with this. It's annoying that they've literally, I bought this whenever it was, just under a year ago, and they've brought out, Evolution have brought out a new version which looks really good, really nice, actually much better in several ways. But you know what, this is good enough, it's very good value for money. It folds up, as you've seen, and you can wheel it around. And then I've got a compressor, which is a little bit small, but it does everything that I want it to do. So as I say, this is an amazing space, and I can configure it. You know, this is a tray that I can move around. I'm going to make a similar sort of tray and use it as a drawer in there. I've got the tools, the electric tools that I use all the time under there. These are tools that are going to go in some sort of drawer, and that's all my sharpening gear. One of my nieces, bless her. One of the issues with my health thing is if I go into the sort of anaerobic area of my energy level, it knocks me out for days. I get migraines, I get all sorts of things. This is to do with my health. And one of the things that does it, believe it or not, is sanding. Sanding really takes, and I quite enjoy sanding. So I've got a sign saying, stop, think, but not too much, because I also get problems. Post-exertional malaise, they call it. Which knocks me out for days. Stop, think, but not too much. Do not sand. Now, I've ignored that occasionally, but bless her, as I say, that was one of my nieces who made that for me. Other things I've got pinned up is I've got this metric to imperial, and I love this one because it's got I just found it on Google. It says things like 22 millimeters, slightly less than 7/8 of an inch. 25 millimeters, about 1 inch. I love this about, slightly less than, slightly more than. So that's just a useful thing to have there. So yeah, it's this has turned into a really useful space. It took me ages to take the benches out and convert them into the shelves and so on, but this is, in terms of size, I think this is 24 feet long by 8 feet wide, and I can touch the ceiling, so it's about 7 foot tall. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. It's going to be even more fabulous when I get that stuff back in the boat. Not quite sure what other big projects I can do. But just tidying up and just sorting stuff away and paying Lucy Chocolate to do it has turned this into, for me, a really nice workshop. I'm very, very, very happy with this. Right, you've seen these type of jigs a million times, I think. And what I want to do is I want to put some splines in the corner of this. This is how far I've got so far with building my pedal board. I'll show you it better, but I've kind of cut a bit of a recess in there. So first thing to do is to set the blade height so that it comes up to about there. There's obviously going to be a bit of the spline thing sticking out in the middle, and then I wanted to do it so that it's midway on this short side. Then I'm just going to flip it over, so I have one spline on one side and one on the other. There you can see that it's just cut that mark there. I think that's too narrow, so I'm going to do it so it's about twice the width. I'm also going to cut another spline up here. I think that will look nice. Alright, this is what I meant but didn't really explain particularly well. What I've done is I've cut it a little bit deeper and the width of this, because that, get the light on it, that's the actual width of the wood, and I cut a ledge out there, so I've kind of done it just so I get for aesthetic reasons, just so I get a longer piece of white wood. Anyway, I bashed all these in. It's just pieces of pine really. I say mostly for aesthetics, but it will give it a bit more strength. Wait for the glue to dry and then chop those off. Right, so that was a fairly easy job. I just reset this and did it a couple more passes. Now I've got a nice groove. So you know, I've cut that tenon piece a little bit too long, but basically that slots in there. As you can see, there's a bit of a gap because it's a bit too long, but that fits together quite nicely, and you get the groove running all the way around. Right, so I've cut the groove all around the back and tidied it up. The next thing I want to do is to have a little sort of square relief thing here, no more than kind of the width of the blade. I tried an example one on some plywood, which I think I showed last month, and that was too thick. So this is the last upright cut, and I don't know what the principle of this is, but I've set the blade to about the same width of this, so that when I put it together, it's going to be there's going to be at least two things that look the same. I've got no idea. That seems about the right height to me. Whether it is or not, only one way to find out. Right, so again, tidy this up, and then it's doing the angled cut. I think that's all right. Right, definitely needs a bit of smartening up, but I think you can get the principle there. Will it fit into the groove? It fits into the groove, yeah. That's again probably slightly too loose, but that's good enough. I'm happy with that. Right, I have definitely used up my brain quota for today. You can see that all fits together quite nicely, slightly looser as I say. There's some joints that I need to sort of finesse. There's that little groove around the back. Don't know why I did that, simply because I think I've seen doors that look like that. It's all, yeah, no, I'm quite happy with that. Let's just fit it into the actual cabinet and have a look at that, and then I'm going to come back to this tomorrow and sort that out, because I will mess it up if I continue today. So that's it for this month. Now the sun's just come out, completely obliterated it, so you can probably just see a dark shadow here, but that was great for the mitered corners and putting the splines, but that was Mark 1. This 90-degree angle here, I can't see what's in the viewfinder. So this, anyway, it wasn't all quite at 90 degree. This sled, which I made very, very quickly, this is the main crosscut sled, I think they call them. Fantastic. Again, that is Mark 1. I've got a few ideas of what I want to do for the next one. This, great. I need to make it more accurately. I did this very, very quickly, and yeah, and I need to improve what I do with putting these sort of outrigger things on them so that they're screwed in, because I think that idea will work. I haven't edited this video yet, and I'm saying this to you now on the 29th. I always forget that that we're one day short. In what month are we? We're April. We're 1 month short in 1 month short? God, Paul, shall I click and start again? No, I won't. There's only 30 days in April, and I think there's 31. So I'm going to edit it together. I'm not going to put in all the detail that I did, but you'll already know that because you'll have watched it by this far. But I did want to include the workshop talk, because I've been promising that for ages, and I'm really happy now with the way this works. It really bodes well for the rest of the project. Need to get the router table thing sorted out. You might remember that there's actually a Formica top on this, and I've got a removable bit in the middle, and I have actually fitted the router so that I know that it does fit, but I just haven't done the fence and all that sort of stuff to it. That will be fantastically useful to have all of that there. And I'm already thinking of how I can cut the HDPE really accurately, hold it together really accurately and weld it, because I want to pressure test it when I do it. So I'm not going to hurry that. It's not going to be next month. I'm going to put the videos out. There might be 1, 2 or 3 videos when I do that. And I'm going to put them out all out together, because there'll be some people, quite a lot of people, who don't want to just watch an old grey-haired bloke waffling on. They'll actually want to know how it's possible to do your own holding tank or HDPE welding and make it work. Obviously, if it doesn't work, I'll fess up, I'll tell you it hasn't worked, and then I'll give up at that point and go back to plan B, which was to do it out of plywood and fiberglass. But anyway, keep well, and I shall see you next month.